Hi, my name is Krista and I am sharing my debt-free journey to clear out some of my debt and hopefully be able to get on the mortgage when my husband applies this summer. I am a pregnant mom, I have 2 toddlers, and I do work from home full-time as well as creating content and hopefully making a little bit of income each month doing that, but it is very inconsistent for me right now. A little bit of my backstory is that I got married when I was 20. I left my husband when I was 25 and he was financially abusive. He was a narcissist. He took all of my money every single time that I got paid. He would use it to buy drugs and say that he was going to make money back on it by selling it to his friends and coworkers. We lived literally paycheck to paycheck because of this. I would have to set up my bank account to automatically withdraw all of my bills the day that I got paid so that it would happen in the middle of the night before he would be able to access the money when it got deposited into our accounts. Unfortunately, after I left him, we were still on a joint bank account because of that. It was a situation that I still ran into that same problem for a couple of weeks until I was able to get a separate bank account where my paychecks could be deposited. So this was not something that was just like easily fixed by me leaving. And unfortunately, because of the situation that we were in financially from living paycheck to paycheck like this, I had no money in savings. I had nothing to my name. Right before leaving my husband, I had purchased my first car. This is the first time I was ever able to buy a car by myself. Unfortunately, I had really bad credit, so it was not a great car loan. This is one of the biggest things that is on my credit report right now because that car did end up breaking. I could not use the car within months of purchasing it. And unfortunately, because of the situation that I was in financially, that car loan just never got paid. It ended up getting closed. The car, I don't even know what happened to it, if it ever got like repossessed or where it ended up going, to be honest with you. This whole part of my life is kind of blocked out in my memory. So I don't know what happened to the car. The car loan it went to collections. The car loan went to collections. That car loan, I purchased that car, I want to say in 2016. So it's been 9 years since I got that car. It went into collections in the year, I want to say 2017. And one of the biggest things with your credit report is collections can only be collected on for 7 years. There is a term limit on that. They can only attempt to collect a debt for 7 years. Last week when I started this journey, one of the very first things that I did is I looked at my credit report and went to see what collections I have on my account and verify the information. This specific car loan is the first thing that I looked at on my credit report because it is past that 7-year term. And when I submitted the dispute for this and indicated that the account was closed, it was past the 7 years that they could collect on it, it was almost immediately removed from my report. And this was something that was able to jump my score up very significantly. It was, I think, $11,000 that was sitting on my credit report as a collections debt, and getting that removed was able to bump my score up about 48 points. Once I did that, I went through and I started looking at some of the other things that I have in collections. Around that same time, I have things like car insurance that ended up lapsing and they were collecting on that because the way that car insurance works is even if it lapses in coverage, they're gonna collect on what is owed. So I have a few of those situations around that same time and I am currently disputing those. I'm in the process because with TransUnion, you can only dispute one thing at a time. So I'm doing one of them at a time, and as they are getting resolved or denied, I'm able to move on to the next thing. Once the car loan was removed, one of the first things that I looked at was a progressive claim that was 6 years and 6 months. Unfortunately, they denied that because it was not at that 7-year mark. We're very close to being able to have that removed, but in order for me to be able to get this stuff cleared off of my report by the time we need to apply for the mortgage, I'm probably gonna have to find another way to resolve that one. I do also have another car loan, and this car was sold. It's sold to Carvana, I wanna say in 2021, maybe 2022. And that is still showing up on my credit report. It does have a balance of 0, but it's not showing as like a paid closed account. It's still showing as an open account with the $18,000 of the original loan, a balance of 0. So I did dispute that. I'm waiting on the resolution for that because it is supposed to be a closed account. And I don't really know if there's a difference between it being open and saying that I have a $0 balance versus it being a closed account. The only reason I do think that that may be affecting my score in any way is because that does have a few missed payments. I think only one missed payment on it actually, but because the account is still open showing that I had a missed payment, I do think that that could have an impact on my score. But again, I'm not a specialist when it comes to credit reports or credit scores, so I'm just going by what my assumptions are from reading my own report and knowing what has been happening in my life for the past 10 years. And as of right now, through the past 18 months, I have had 2 judgments against me through the courts. One in the court system where we previously lived, and this judgment actually came against me as we were moving. They filed it in the court system, and as I moved, they did the whole process, the prosecution and everything in the courts, even though I wasn't in the city anymore. I wasn't even in the state. But because it was filed while I still lived there and I wasn't able to attend, I didn't even get the notifications about this stuff. But because of that, I ended up getting notified of it because it was forwarded to my new address months later, saying that I had a claim against me and I'm being required to pay specific debts that went through this court hearing. I have to double check the documents that I have on this, but I do think that the collections for that specific court hearing is around $2,000. Looking at it right now on my credit report, I'm pretty sure that is the one that was judged against. Since where we are living now, I have also gotten another court hearing, and I tried to dispute this one. I was able to go through. I put in I don't know the legal terms of this, but basically they submitted the document to me and told me that this was filed. I submitted an appeal, I guess is kind of what it is, and then they still judged it against me without even going to court. So this is another thing. And I think on here, there were a few different collections that were grouped into that court hearing. And from what I see on my report and what I kind of remember when I was reviewing this, it is around $3,500. So that with the other court required payment amount, I think is around $5,500 total that I have been judged against by the court, saying that I have to pay. And it does say that they will garnish my wages, but also, from my understanding, they'll only garnish wages after a specific amount of income that you earn. I'm below that threshold, so they could never garnish my wages based off of how much I make. The only exception for that is I don't know if now that I am married, if they have the potential to garnish my husband's wages. Outside of those things, it looks like I have 7 other collection accounts that I need to go through and dispute or find a way to contact the creditor to see if I can come to a resolution. Let me calculate what the amount of those debts are. It looks like the estimations of those collections accounts that I can dispute is about another $5,400. Overall, my credit report says that the summary is I have $0 in credit cards because all of my credit cards have been charged off for collections. I have $11,000 in collections. That is something I'm confused about a little bit because last week when I first started doing this, it was 10,000 something and now it's gone up to 11,000. So I need to try to figure out what changed there. $18,900 in student loans. I won't be doing anything about the student loans. Obviously, that's something that I can't really have any control over. I can't just pay off $20,000 in student loans. My goal is to try to get the collections down, get them removed however I can, and just hopefully only have the student loans on my report. And then I have $411 in personal loans, which is actually just CESL, which is that pay in 4 type of thing. And that actually does sit on your credit report, which for me has actually probably been a good thing because I do always consistently pay that. So that is a positive thing on my credit report in the midst of all of this negative. When I first started this journey last week and looked at my credit report for the first time in like 3 or 4 years, my score was 548, I want to say. After that dispute and my score going up, it went up to 575. Today it is still at 575. I'm working on some of those disputes to see if that makes any changes. One of the disputes, I don't remember if I got back to this point when I was talking about the Progressive. One of the disputes that I submitted after that initial car loan, that got denied because of that 6 months left until it's going. So we're gonna go through all of these, try to dispute them, try to contact the creditors, see if we can come to some kind of an agreement. We're not in a place where we can really financially put anything towards this, which is why I haven't done it for so long. We really don't have the income to be able to do that. And for me, in my brain, it's always been, well, it's gonna sit there anyway, so why would I put money towards that when I could use that money to buy groceries? So this is how I've gotten myself into this situation. I'm trying to change my mindset and say, put what you can towards it and hopefully be able to get a mortgage with my husband. So overall, we are mostly working on this mindset change, trying to get done what we can, and I'm going to take you guys along for the entire process. I try to be as transparent as possible. Obviously, I'm sharing my scores with you guys. I'm being open and honest about the amounts that it is. So I want to be as transparent for anybody else who may be in this situation, who finds themselves in a spot when they're in their 20s and they have to make these decisions to simply survive. Know you are not alone. Know that you can improve your situation and know that you can buy a house one day.